Welcome to Team Hummus's presentation on purposeful communication. In Team Hummus, we have Zoe, Hallie, and Sarah. First off, I'd like you to pause the presentation here and complete 2 quick surveys on communication to get you started thinking about the topic. We will later unpack the results of our fellow EDLE students. Effective communication is more than just exchanging words. It is being able to provide a clear and concise message, but also being able to understand the emotion and intentions behind the information. In the academic context, communication drives the professional standards each university expects from their students. Tutorials allow for a two-way communication process between the teacher and the students. To be an effective communicator in this domain, it's important to be present in class discussions, ask questions, and to show positive body language. Being an active listener can help resolve conflicts in a respectful and professional manner. But it is important to remember, if your non-verbal communication isn't reinforcing what you are saying, it can lead to the listener believing you are being dishonest. Email and discussion forum etiquette is an essential part of being a professional and an effective communicator. Writing emails at university requires a different register to that being used when emailing or messaging friends. Emails which indicate professionalism and poise are bound to leave a good impression and get a quicker response. It is important to pay attention to the recipient's title, as it shows knowledge and respect of the recipient. Discussion forums are a great way of communicating with staff and fellow students. It is important to remember that written text can be misleading if not given the correct context. Therefore, you should always check what you have written and how it can be perceived by others.
Here we have an example of a professional email and what it could look like. On the first line, we've got the formal greeting, especially for the first point of contact. The second line, we've got the subject, the tutorial, and the student number. And then we have the question and what you require from the tutor. The email is ended professionally with the name and student number, if not mentioned prior. It's important to make these aspects of the email really clear and concise so that tutors can easily and quickly identify where to help you most. Other platforms for communication include social media and face-to-face communication. So the important things to remember here is ask, don't assume. Some people don't use social media, and the people who do use social media don't want to be adding everyone that they meet. So make sure that you ask people how they want to be communicated with. Beware of privacy issues. Information online is widely accessible and not all information you find is accurate. So make sure that what you're posting is appropriate and respects confidentiality of others. Make sure you consider the tone of your message and whether it's appropriate, polite, and relevant. Make sure that you're not posting anything that can be considered rude or offensive, and make sure that you have the permission of others before tagging them in anything online. Another important thing is to remember, don't get distracted. We often spend a lot of time on social media without even realizing. So monitoring our use can be very beneficial. Another way to communicate is face-to-face, which involves verbal and non-verbal communication. Verbal includes the tone of your voice and choice of your words, as we've talked about, and non-verbal is the body language, which experts say makes up to 75% of how we communicate. So we need to ensure that our body language supports our words and is not sending the wrong message to the receiver. Some really easy ways to do this are uncrossing our arms when speaking to someone, using eye contact, leaning in slightly, or facing the speaker when talking, as shown in this first image. And in these other 2 images, we can see the importance of knowing what you're saying, I suppose. These seemingly small actions play a large part in conveying meaning.
So here are just some examples of good and bad communication with a specific example from our group chat. Sorry. So UOW doesn't actually have a specific binding policy in place for the significance of communication. However, the Code of Conduct regulates the rules and policies for specific problems tutors and students may come across, such as misconduct and others like late submissions of assignments. Tutors still promote positive communication with students, even though there are no policies specifically mentioning it. Students communicate with tutors through email, Moodle, Sols, and Zoom, which is essential now as uni has moved online. So we've got some tips for how to become a good communicator. So firstly, we say, ensure you check all platforms that the university can contact you on. I know that every day before I start any uni work, I check my uni email, Sols and Moodle just in case something has come up. It's also really important at the moment because we're getting so many more notices about the virus and what that means for us as students. It's also so important to attend tutorials, even if they aren't compulsory, and to watch all pre-recorded lectures. I found it also helps to keep in contact with your tutors and reading groups. I know I bug Hallie and Zoe in the group chat from time to time with questions about all our subjects. Noting the contactable times for your tutors also helps you know when they are most likely to reply and when it's a good time to contact them. And it's so important to not be shy or scared to ask questions in tutorials, on discussion forums, and in reading groups, because every question is a valid question and it helps to clear up all misunderstandings. And these are our classes survey results from the surveys that we provided. And as you can see, many people have an understanding of communication, and we hope that everyone's understanding of communication becomes clearer after our presentation. And we've got our reference.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah. Okay.